My name is Simon Atkins and I'm Catholic. I was raised in the west of Ireland on a diet of communion, confession and chastity.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
That was until I realised I was gay and could never get married in the eyes of God.
I'm a celibate man, I'm a single man.
Yeah.
Just because you are not married does not mean that you have a life without love.
But I want sex and marriage with the love. Being Catholic doesn't seem relevant to my life anymore. Then I met this guy, Matthew. He's Jewish and I realised there might be a better option for me.
Every human being is a creation in the image of God. Male, female, Jew, non-Jew, gay, straight. Nobody should ever be treated as if they weren't a full human being.
To find out if Judaism is more tolerant of gay men, I'm travelling to the Middle East and its birthplace.
So welcome to Queerguru, and I'm glad we tracked you down in London. I don't know what time it is, but you're drinking.
It's Friday evening and we are drinking.
The charming doc you made back in 2017 has just surfaced here in the US. So without giving it all away, can you tell us what My Big Gay Jewish Conversion is all about?
In a nutshell, I mean, it's hard to tell it in a nutshell, but basically it follows me as I explore the world of Catholicism and Judaism, but mostly focusing on Judaism. To kind of look at the different religious attitudes towards homosexuality. So I explore Catholicism to a point, but Judaism to, a large extent in London and Israel, looking at all facets and sects of Judaism from the really liberal side to the extreme Hasidic and ultra-Orthodox side of Judaism, ultimately looking at if I am prepared to convert to Judaism for my Jewish boyfriend, Matthew, myself being a Catholic man of faith.
And probably a lapsed Catholic man. And we should explain, if you haven't picked up on the brogue, he's Irish and I think Burmese as well. No, whatever.
So, yes, so half Irish, half Burmese.
Which is very strange.
Hence the tan.
Very strange. And you're living in London. So, Simon, what made you want to make the film for the BBC back then?
I've grown up as a very traditional Catholic in the west of Ireland, to Catholic parents, going to church every Sunday, being an altar boy, singing in the church choir. And I was never, I was kind of like very ingrained in the religion and what it was all about, but it's kind of like, it's not really where I'm at nowadays, but like, it's kind of like that kind of ethos is ingrained in you from a very young age. And then I went to London and met my boyfriend Matthew, and of course, he's Jewish, and there's a lot of similarities between the two faiths and also the kind of like the community. But I realized that, there was a lot of acceptance in the Jewish faith and community that wasn't necessarily there in Catholicism. I.e., you couldn't get married in the Jewish faith, and you can, be married by a rabbi and be preached to by a rabbi as a gay man. Whereas in Catholicism, and you can never walk down the aisle and get married. It's just not a thing. And I grew up going to mass every Sunday, but also being a flautist and going and playing and singing at so many weddings, and just looking back at that, going like, I've been to over 200 weddings in my career as a musician, and knowing that I could never walk down the aisle as one of those people. And so I kind of think it kind of just dawned on me that, like, is Catholicism for me, is this a faith that I want to be, kind of attached to? And I think looking at the similarities and the difference between Judaism, I want to explore what it would mean to be Jewish to me. Yeah.
What you made apparent in the film by going to your Reform, possibly gay, Jewish rabbi in North London, is that there are different levels of Judaism. You went to Jerusalem, to extreme stuff. In Catholicism, there's only one level. So that's what helps us as gay men to be able to accept our Jewish faith, not what I do. What was the biggest thing you took away from this whole experience of your journey?
Probably that I was kind of, so for this documentary, I was focusing on religion and what it meant to have a really strong faith. But I think what I took away from this is that actually I am a gay man living in a modern day society, and I should pick and choose the parts of religion and faith that work for me, and not feel like I am being put into a category of I have to, adhere to this part of Catholicism or Judaism. It's kind of like, we live, a religion sometimes is very black and white. It's like, you have to do this, you must do that. It's all about, kind of like what the Torah says or what, the Pope says in the Bible. We're actually, that's black and white, but we as humans, we live our lives in the grey.
Definitely.
And I think that that coming away from that, I realized that actually it's about my relationship with kind of like faith in God, my own personal relationship, and not what's, necessarily written in the Bible or the Torah.
Let's start with asking you now for an update, because it's been 3 years. Did you convert? What's happened? Where are you in the world these days?
So I realized that I didn't like converting wasn't something that was high on my agenda after making that documentary. I was so immersed in what was going on for a good, like, honestly, it was like I spent a month in Israel, immersed in Catholicism and Judaism. And I realized that it's not, for me, it was about the choices that I wanted to make, and the bits and the parts of the religion that I wanted to bring into my own life. The most important thing was my relationship with my boyfriend Matthew, and he was and he still is a very liberal kind of like Jew, and I obviously went deep into the investigations of all facets of Judaism,
Very deep,
which went from extremely liberal to Hasidic and Orthodox, where they actually don't even believe that liberal Judaism is a thing. You know what I mean? They for an Orthodox or an Hasidic Jew, they believe that like the teachings of the Torah are absolute and divine.
Yeah.
And for liberal Jews, that it's not a religion, it's just a lifestyle. So, I think what I took away from it is that, like, for me as a modern day, homosexual man, it's just important to live your life the way you want to do it, and pick and choose the parts of any religion, if you're into religion, that work for you.
Simon, in your film, you have a dinner party at your house, and there's friends of yours, and one of them is going to convert because his boyfriend's Jewish. Is there a growing trend amongst the gay community, or was this just someone you came across?
I don't think there is a massively growing trend from people that I've met in and around the gay community in London. To be honest, I mean, look, maybe there is in the Jewish community, but like I was surprised to meet that couple, and for someone to be so devout to not only their boyfriend but to their religion, that they were willing to convert without knowing much about the religion, but about accepting it from what it was from the outset. And those two were so in love, but he was so willing to kind of just give himself to his boyfriend and that religion without knowing much about it. And it worked for them, and they got married, and they had an amazing wedding, and they're still together. And like, I think it worked for them, and it's kind of like, it is down to personal opinion and personal kind of like whatever you want to do. And I think that I'm delighted for them, because they're a very happy couple.
Yeah. One of the many things I liked about you, Doc, was how much you love Tel Aviv, because we've just had the pleasure of talking with Ayrton Fox, who is the leading Israeli queer filmmaker, and he's got his latest yet to be released movie, Sublet, is like a love letter to Tel Aviv. In fact, most of what I know about Israeli queer men has been through his movies like Yossi and Yaga. Should we all be tempted to move to Tel Aviv?
Honestly, if I'm being brutally and completely honest, I am obsessed with Tel Aviv. Like, I absolutely adore. I know. Look, I know there's loads of things going on with Israel and Palestine.
Yeah.
But like Tel Aviv is one of the most. You feel so brilliant place. You feel so free. You feel so liberal. It's kind of like you're in the Middle East, but yet you're completely accepted for who you are.
Yeah.
The men are beautiful. The food is amazing. The nightlife is comparable to, you know, amazing nightlife in kind of like Europe. It's so westernized as a city, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I think, you know, there's many things that I loved about, and I still love about, like the Jewish community and Jewish religion. But like being introduced to Tel Aviv was definitely a highlight of my life, and I go there every single year without fail because I absolutely love.
Yeah, you were off camera at
love
the
it.
time, but we could sense for drooling.
Yeah, drooling. I mean, there's various things I was drooling over, but I was drooling over. I mean, I'm obsessed with food, so I absolutely love tahini. I love hummus. I love anything that's kind of like, you know, that's Israeli. But also the culture is so relaxed. They have a real kind of like cafe restaurant culture. The weather is amazing, and the men are beautiful. I'm sure you're
So
well.
Look out for Ayrton Fox's latest movie, Good Sublet, which is it should have premiered at Tribeca, so it's looking for distributor, but you will pack your bags. So,
really? So when is that out? Do you know?
I don't know. He's still working it because, like most things, there are so many films are in the air right now. But he's got a whole history of Yosin Yaga, of The Bubble. So it will happen, and you'll fall in love with it and the film. What are you working on? Are you following up on your queer life at all in any movies, films?
So there's a couple of things that I am working on, but like, as you know, we're going through a like global pandemic at the moment, so things are kind of like difficult to progress and to kind of like move forward. But since the documentary, myself and Matthew have broken up, and we actually broke up last year, but we're still really good friends. We see each other all the time. We kind of like talk. We bought a house together. We were planning kids together, and then we realized after 5 years that, you know what, we were just going to be friends, which was definitely a shock to both of us. But we are in really good stead. But I'm developing different queer and LGBTQ plus ideas at the moment. I'm talking to BBC Sounds about a queer travel documentary, and I'm also developing a new kind of series with my younger brother who's also gay, just delving into LGBTQ plus lifestyles and kind of subcultures around the globe. So there's a few things that are bubbling. So, you know, who knows? Watch the space. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we should talk to you in a year's time, maybe, possibly.
Well,
for those of you looking at Simon and want to follow up other things he's done, there's a program which is a big hit in the UK, which has never been seen here. He was a producer on First Dates.
You knew.
It's an extraordinary program. I'm not going to say any more, but when you've finished watching this, Google First Dates, and like my American husband, it's not a gay program, but you'll be addicted to it.
Addicted. And I did, I've worked on also First Dates Hotel, where they bring the daters abroad. But yeah, no, so it's not been out in the UK or in the US?
No, but I've given you a good plug for it. It's been great to talk to you. And
Thank
keep
you
in
so
touch.
much. Lovely to talk to you.
Okay.
We'll talk to you next year.
I love the fact that I can feel free here. The whole city is a gay club.
But as I delve deeper, I uncover another side to Judaism.
Just camera down.
A man who sleeps with another man, most he must. Die, he shall die.
It's an abomination, that's all. And that's all I have to say.
Where being gay can be a matter of life or death.
He put out a knife and started running and stabbing.